I challenge you as a believer, let that power get out.
Blind people received their sight. People have been carried in. We're healed. Nobody touched them. Nobody laid a hand on them. We just praised the Lord and spoke the word of faith, and God began to heal the people. Here's fish.
Yeah, let's go! Oh my gosh, these are big.
He kept me from this guy. Look how massive this is.
The Casting Faith Podcast.
Push on.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Casting Faith Podcast. I'm Sean.
And I'm Charlie.
And we're glad to have you here today.
Let's go.
How's things been going, dude?
Good. You
Yeah.
know that time we had a podcast and talked about polar vortexes and the winters being not so terrible?
My.
Well, here we are.
Talk about it.
Ohio. Never a surprise, I guess, but we got a massive polar vortex heading our way very soon.
That's terrible.
And I just shoveled my driveway for the third time in the last 2 days.
Yeah.
So winter is in full flight here in Ohio.
I shoveled last night at like 10:30
at night.
So I've been off of work for 2 weeks and my sleep schedule is gone. So at 10:30, I was full of energy and went out, shoveled I think it's 130 feet long. And then there's like 40 by 50 space out there, feet.
Mm.
It's a good amount.
Yeah, my driveway is 50 feet long on a slope.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Oh.
And all I have is a shovel. Actually, I was working with Marcus at Two Clever Fellas. One of the houses we were doing a junk removal for had a power shovel that you plug in, and it's kind of got
like
blade on it.
Like a sleeper thing where it just floats.
So it's like a mini snow blower.
That's cool.
And I tried to use it today, and it worked okay, but a regular shovel was just more efficient because I was fighting the extension cord. It wasn't like a battery powered one, but it was no fun. But we don't have tornadoes. We don't have what's the list? We don't have very many poisonous snakes or animals or critters that could get you. No bad spiders except for like the brown recluse, which is like very remote and kind of hard to find. But
I got bit by that.
Did you really?
Yeah, just a couple of years ago.
What?
Well,
here?
Let's see. Yes. That was 2016-ish.
That's crazy.
So at my job, we've since gotten rid of this, but our maintenance locker room was an old trailer, like one of the work site trailers.
Mm.
And our clothes, our uniforms hung up on the back wall, and it was super moist in there all the time. Gross, cold. It must have just been in my pants, the spider. And I didn't feel it bite or anything. But all of a sudden, my legs started swelling up, and they sent me to the doctor or whatever.
Yeah.
Weeks later, after digging it out, and they had to dig it out, the whole area went numb and all kinds of stuff.
Do you have like a scar from it?
Oh yeah,
that's
they
crazy.
said it was a brown recluse. Yeah.
So do you think it came from from here, or do you think it came from that like container office deal that was shipped in?
Definitely here.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so rare. That's so weird, man. You have so many like close calls.
Yeah.
I thought I was the like accident prone one, but
you just lose stuff.
Yeah, I lose things. Lost my phone on the way in for the millionth time. That's a whole episode in itself.
Yeah.
Like how I lose things. But yeah, man, it's been crazy. We had a bout of sickness for Christmas and New Year's, so we kind of stayed in and just doing the thing.
Yeah.
But,
dude, I wouldn't say I'm trying to lose weight.
let's go.
No.
Got him on that.
No.
Got him on that Fred Parrott.
I'm not
discipline.
really at all.
Oh,
However, I don't know if it was laziness. Like my snowblower is out in my backyard, 400 feet from the house,
Mhm.
and we've got. What do you think we have? Like 8 inches maybe of snow out there.
It's ridiculous.
Probably 8 to 10, maybe 12. But instead of going to get my snowblower out of the shed 400 feet out back, I just decided to just shovel it by hand.
Let's go, Sean Delaney. Let's go. It's such a good workout. And your watch will track it too. You have an Apple Watch.
I haven't been wearing it
Oh,
because I've
Sean.
been laying around the house all my vacation.
Well, anyways, it will definitely help track that. Like I think every time I do my driveway, it's like 30 minutes exercise. it's like it hits the metrics. Like when I had an Apple Watch, it filled the ring.
Yeah.
Once I just shoveled the driveway once. You do that 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's a start. I ran a mile the other day.
Nice.
and it wasn't as hard as I thought. So I've been on this skid ever since church camp counseling for 2 weeks. You know, they have food there that's like free.
It's awesome.
It's like 3 times a day.
Only if you're a worker.
Well, no, it's free anyways. I mean, the kids pay to go to camp, but like the food, the meals, there's 3 meals a day, and then the workers get a special meal. So we eat 4 times in a day, and then you get these concession cards. And so I'm always great up until camp, and then I go off the rails after camp, and it's so hard to get back on track.
Yeah.
And, you know, my wife and I had some, you know, an unfortunate start to last year, or an end to last year. And it kind of just set me on this path of Little Debbie's and eating whatever I want. So I thought, you know, this mile is going to be hard to run. So I was like, I'll just walk a mile. And so like January or New Year's, I went downstairs at 8 o'clock, got on the treadmill. I walked for an hour and a half, no problem. And then the next day I ran a mile, and it was like 8-minute mile. So my lungs are still there. It's just, I was sore the next day.
Speaking of 8-minute miles, just want to tell you that according to my watch, I hike in Waders an 8-minute mile, 5 miles straight.
Your watch is wrong, but it's still impressive. You probably did the 5 miles, but 8 minutes, that's hard to do for just a normal guy.
The pace.
I don't know, man.
Through the woods.
I don't know.
That story's coming up.
Sean's Olympic level athlete in terms of distance running.
Yeah, so
let's go, man. I'm excited that you're trying.
I don't know.
Sean's
not, really
not that overweight, but he should be healthier.
I am overweight for sure.
He makes decisions. I'll say
240 now after Christmas break.
Well, my.
At 6'2", that's definitely overweight.
World heavyweight champion.
I was actually surprised.
38.
I didn't get as gassed shoveling the driveway as I expected.
Yeah. Got all that reserve energy.
Yeah. I usually get gassed, man.
Yeah.
It's usually exhausting.
Well, we've been fishing a lot, man. That's not for nothing. You know, the hiking and stuff.
Yeah.
Through the woods and all of our spots take it. You can't just drive up and go cast a line. We got to do a hike for every one of our spots. So
I also sat down, and we got a pretty big set list coming up tomorrow for tomorrow's service. And I sat down on the drums for probably an hour and a half last night before that. And I was soaked in sweat.
Yeah.
It was disgusting.
That's something too.
There's a lot of energy that gets spent on drums.
Yeah.
All right. So I got a story for you. We're going to move into story time here.
We got to get more music.
Yeah, this is great. I could jam to this.
This sounds like elevator music.
Now it sounds like church offering. Let's go. All right. People are going to click away if they listen to that too long. Yeah. All right. I got a story. This story comes to you from not Florida, not Texas, like usual on our podcast.
Okay, that leaves Ohio.
Not Ohio.
Wow.
Wow. This comes to us from, I actually don't know the actual city, but it's in the mountains near Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
This is a true story that was my account. Are you afraid of moose?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm
the
not
dog?
alone. No,
not the dog is amazing.
A real moose.
A real moose. It's up there with bear for me in terms of I'm not getting near that.
Yeah. All right. So I got a story that was kind of unexpected. I was in Denver for work a few years ago, probably 3-4 years ago. On Friday, I was flying out Saturday. I'd finished the work early on Friday and got out at like noon or so. And I wanted to go hike. I wanted to go see the mountains and explore. And I've never been over there to the West Coast area. Like, I guess it's not really West Coast, but the farthest west I've been. So I go up, and I just wanted to get acclimated with the elevation, because I've been told that you should.
Yeah.
I didn't have any problem in Denver. It's like 5,000 whatever 300 feet.
Did you have any like migraine situations? Because
No.
like usually when there's a change in altitude,
Yeah.
it flares that stuff up.
So in Denver, I had no issues. I'd spent the whole week there, Monday through Friday, and no issues. I was acclimated pretty well. And then Friday afternoon, I wanted to go up. My goal was to go to, man, I forget the name of that mountain where they race the cars up. But you could drive all the way up to it, and it's like 14,000 feet, something like that. But I didn't go there. I wanted to start small.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Golden Gate Canyon. I think it's a state park. And the elevation there was 9,300 feet. So going up from 5,000 to 9,300. I didn't think anything of it. I get there. I get to the park, like the visitor center, to get some maps of the trails and stuff like that. Because you have no cell service up there at all. And when I get there, I get out of the car and I'm just like, all of a sudden, super lightheaded.
Oh.
And I didn't I didn't understand what was happening. And I was like, oh man, this is probably going to pass. Like I must have just stood up too quick. Dude, it was like 30 minutes. I sat in that parking lot, lightheaded, like dizzy for 30 minutes, not knowing what was happening at all. I don't even know if by the end of this story, if I actually figured out it was altitude sickness.
Oh, no.
But I decided to continue on after that 30 minutes. I started feeling a little better. I got some water and stuff at the thing and a snack.
Mm-hmm.
So I energied up, if that's the word.
Yeah.
And I headed to the trail head of the Raccoon Trail. It's like a 3-mile loop. And I start hiking this trail, dude. And I'm just like, man, this is gorgeous. It's beautiful. And I come up on this sign that's on the tree, and it says like some warnings of what to do if you run into this wildlife. And it says, here's what to do if you run into a bear. You stand big, you make yourself big. And
that's for black bear though, right?
Make a lot of noise. And I don't know, any bear, I think.
Correct us if we're wrong, but I believe it's with a black bear, you get big and loud. With a grizzly, you play dead because they're going to kill you.
Yeah, I would play big and loud with any bear. And then the next part of the sign said what to do if you run and encounter a mountain lion. And I didn't know that there was mountain lions up there, honestly. And have you ever seen Homeward Bound?
Oh, it's been a long time.
Oh, dude.
If I revisit it.
All right.
Does it hold up?
I don't know. So if you watch Homeward Bound and you see the scene where the mountain lion is coming over the mountains and trying to get like Sassy and Chance and
That's been
I forget the old
long.
dog's name.
I had to have watched it when I was little.
I love that movie. But like the scenery there looked exactly like the part of this trail. And so I could just see a mountain, like in my mind, like a mountain lion just staring at me the whole time. And it says to fight. It says to fight them.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm
you're
just like,
I just got here. And
I'm by myself.
Ugh.
I've never been in this area. I'm partially like elevation sickness going on. And I'm this idiot hiking this trail right now by myself. Anyways, so I hiked the trail. At the halfway point, there's a place called Panorama Point, and you can see the Continental Divide from it. So you're just overlooking. It literally is a panorama view of the Continental Divide, which is the watershed from the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. It's just this massive mountain range, and it was gorgeous, man. It was so beautiful, but the entire time to get to that halfway point, I was scared out of my mind.
Oh man,
because it's like the most isolated I've ever been in my entire life in the wilderness, and knowing that there's things out there that are hunting me potentially,
man,
gave me a eerie feeling. And so I get to the halfway point, and there's a road there, and I'm debating whether to ask somebody for a ride to get back, because I don't want to go the rest of this.
You don't want to go
trip.
Is it a loop?
Yeah, it's a loop.
Yeah.
So I'm a mile and a half in, and I have a mile and a half to go. And I was just scared out of my mind this entire mile. and people are probably laughing right now. Like, listen, I'm a boy from West Virginia.
Yeah.
The most I've had to deal with is black bear.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
well, we had actually had cougars in West Virginia. The DNR released them, so there was actually times where we would see dead deer carcasses in the trees.
Funny how, like, to preface this, I'm not a hunter yet. I want to get into that, so don't destroy me in the comments because I really am ignorant to a lot of that side of things. I'm a fisherman, not a hunter yet. So, but anyways, like, I think it's funny because every once in a while I'll read stories of how the DNR will do that. They'll release like wild animals into the woods to control the population of deer. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, you have hunters that want to hunt deer. Wouldn't you just lift some regulations or change some rules to like, what's your thoughts on that? Like, why are we so prompt to like, let's reintroduce the wolves? Like, what? Why? What?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather
I don't know.
hunters just hunt?
I would rather the hunters hunt, but I think there's a lot of problems that come along with that.
Really?
Just you've got like people leave trash around, just environmental stuff that they think of, like
that's
quote unquote.
That's frustrating.
Rather than letting a wild animal just take it. And
I just think that's so crazy. Let's reintroduce this species and see what happens. Like, you're just messing with a whole ecosystem rather than just let us hunt.
Yeah.
You know, more or increase bag limits or change the hours or do something different, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do I know?
So this kid from West Virginia, I say kid, I'm not a kid anymore. Sometimes I view myself. I'm still on the youth staff, so I still got some youth. So I have 1.5 miles to go, and I'm looking at all these people around, just like, I wonder if they would give me a ride and not kidnap me. Not
probably
like
have more danger asking for a ride than you are.
Yeah,
just walking that mile and a half back.
So I decided to just keep going. Like, there's a storm coming in too.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a storm coming in. I'm scared. I'm like, I just need to be a man. If I die, I die.
If I die, I die.
So I continue on, and I meet these people that are on horseback on the trail, and I talk to them for a little bit. They live locally, and they were telling me about moose in the area, telling me like moose are not afraid of people.
No.
They will charge you, and there's nothing you can do to scare away a moose because they're not afraid. And if you have a dog, especially, they were saying if you had a dog, they're more prone to attack because they hate dogs, I guess.
That's so funny. Like,
so
weird.
I was like, man, well, that's not on the sign.
That's crazy.
So they give you warnings of what to do if there's a bear, what to do if there's a mountain lion. But if there's a moose, there's no instruction.
That's because you're pretty much toast. Like, it's up to the moose what happens. Listen, I learned this. They can dive up to 20 feet underwater and eat the vegetation on the bottom of the lakes.
That's interesting.
And so they're excellent swim. You wouldn't think like that kind of animal would be a swimmer, but like they can dive up to 20 feet.
That's wild.
And they can swim for 10 miles at a time without rest.
Wow.
So your hopes and that's a land animal. So if they can do that underwater and on the water, like, I don't know. I think it's Daniel. David Himes was just on. His brother, Daniel, you're probably listening. I think I heard a story of Daniel approaching a moose when he was in Canada, like, ignorantly. It was a bad decision, Daniel. I still love you though. But yeah, I just think that's up there with the kinds of animals that you wouldn't want to run into on a hike.
So I talked to those people for a little while, and they trotted off on their horses safely because there was a storm coming. And they also said storms in the mountains are different. So you should get out of here. So
Sean learned very quick he's not in West Virginia or Ohio anymore.
This is definitely like homeward bound is all I could think of this entire hike. Like,
you ever read the book The Hatchet?
Probably for school.
Yeah, it was a school book. It was one of my favorite books. It was about this kid.
I hate reading, so
that should change too. You know how you hate exercise and greens? You should probably learn to like greens and exercise and also become a reader.
Yeah.
But it's probably a good audiobook.
Audible has made me a reader.
Yeah, Audible's amazing. Audible's great.
So anyways.
Sorry, off topic. Anyways, it's a good story. It was one of my favorite books coming up, like growing up to read, because it was about a kid who was on a flight and the plane crashes and he has to survive.
I remember
and all he has
that,
is a
yeah.
hat. Yeah, it was such a
Yeah.
good book. And that reminds me of your story because it's like really quickly. It just went for a mile walk. Moose.
Yeah. So I'm going down this path. The people on horseback leave, and this side of the trail is more downhill, going back into the valley. The first half was straight up and down hiking. I think it was like over 1,000 feet elevation gain. You can look that up on All Trails, the app All Trails. You can see the elevation gain.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah. So it was a huge elevation gain, and I'm dropping back down into the valley on this side of the hike. I just start seeing these markings on the trees, right? And you remember my bear story where I saw these markings, and they're like 12 feet up in this.
And Taco Bell.
So Taco Bell.
There goes the Amarillo in me.
So I'm looking at these markings on the tree, and this is bear. And I've got videos of this, and I've got video of me saying this has to be a bear. and I'm like, this is insane, like, because they've warned about the bears, and here's bear markings. Is what's going on in my mind. And I continue walking. I'm at the bottom of the valley now. It's kind of like a little flat with mountains on both sides, and I'm walking down this trail, again, isolated as can be. And I'm probably like 3/4 of a mile in at this point from the halfway point. So I'm halfway. I'm halfway from the halfway point. And I just hear this crashing.
Oh no.
And I look over, dude. If you've ever ran into a moose in person, this thing, like,
so not a bear.
I'm 6'2", not a bear. I'm 6'2", 30 yards away from a moose that I'm not even standing to his shoulders on.
And you're not armed.
And this thing has antlers. They're not as big as you think in the movies. Like, maybe it's an Alaskan moose is much different probably than an American moose. I don't know. So my wife loves moose, and she would give anything to see one in person. So I was like, I have to get a picture.
Selfie.
And
dumb ways
but
to
the
die.
first thing I did when I saw the moose was hide behind a tree. Like
Yeah,
a little
but,
girl.
They could like snap that tree like a toothpick. It's not. That's
Dude,
false sense of security.
So I'm like standing behind this tree, peeking around the corner. Like I'm debating whether to get my phone out or run. And I'm peeking around the corner, and he's rubbing his antlers on the tree. That's what the markings were. They weren't bear. Those are moose antlers rubbing the tree. And this thing, it has to know I'm there because they're not dumb. I'm 30 yards away from it. I could shoot it with my bow. And I'm just like, it's not worth my life to take a picture. Dude.
You didn't get the picture?
Dude, I ran.
You should have got the picture.
I didn't actually like run. I like hid me. Like I went from tree to tree, hiding behind the tree to make sure it didn't see me. And then I started running after I got out of sight uphill, up the elevation gain now, coming up on the other side.
A moose can run 35 miles per hour, 56 kilometers per hour over a short distance. They can just trot 20 miles per hour.
Yeah, I had no chance.
No shot.
It didn't want me, or it would have had me. But it was the wildest thing because it wasn't afraid. It knew I was there. It had to have. And they just aren't afraid of people. That's one animal that would probably be easy to hunt.
Maybe. I know a lot of people hunt moose.
But yeah, so I started running up this hill at 9,000 feet elevation.
Well,
and
according to your watch, that should have been nothing. You didn't have your waders on, so 8-minute mile, you cleared that
so
quickly.
up this like 600-foot elevation gain over 3/4 of a mile. It was pretty intense.
Whew.
So I get up,
all while being elevation sick.
I get halfway up there, and then I recorded a video to send to my wife, and I was like, it's a hilarious video. I will never share that video.
Oh, it's going on socials.
I will never share it. But I was like, I just ran into a moose. I don't know what to do. It was hilarious, dude. I sent it to my dad, and he showed his pastor, who was like a outdoorsman, and he hunts like elk and stuff. He's done all these big hunts, and he just laughed and said, "Don't show anybody that video."
Half of our followers just left.
Yeah, they're like, "Man, Sean's a girl." Listen,
they're
I'm from
crazy.
West Virginia. Okay. Yeah, so that was my moose story, man, and it's pretty funny now looking back, and very funny actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was scared of a moose, and I was out of breath and elevation sickness. And
I think
but once I got out of there, dude, I felt so relieved to be
alive
in a car, like
yeah,
just not having to worry about being isolated anymore. It was crazy. It was a crazy feeling.
Man, it's weird how we get this false sense of security for things like that.
Yeah.
Like, we'll do that too on fishing trips where we'll just go off the trail and be like, it's nothing. We'll just go here. And we don't know what's there or what could be there. And we just go.
Yeah.
And it's like, there could be a bear there. There could be a snake there. There could be a moose there. Like,
yeah.
And we just don't
not
think.
here.
Well, like, so I have a story
that
goes along with this. I was probably 13 years old. And our family has a cabin in Pennsylvania that we share. And this cabin's on like a creek, right? And so it's private land. So anytime that we would go to this was like, we didn't grow up with the most money. So this would be our like family vacation. During the summer, we would have our family reunion here, and we would go a couple times a summer just to go to the cabin, and we would canoe and swim in the creek. And, you know, when I was younger, I'd call it a crick, but it's a creek. And so
depends on where you're from.
Depends on where you're from.
I say creek.
Crick. We would go to the creek, and this was like how we would do other things like go-karts and stuff like that. But the majority of the time we would be at the cabin. We do fires and fishing and canoeing and all these things. And me and Justin, my cousin, we were at the age where we kind of wanted to just explore, right? And so this creek would go miles in either direction, and it led out to different waters and stuff like that. So we were allowed to just, we had a family member named Don, and he would let us take the canoe, and we would just go for miles, for hours, just fishing. We would catch like chain pickerel and catfish and all kinds of sunfish, all bass, all creek chub, all kinds of different fish. And so we would just go fishing and canoeing for hours and hours and hours. One time we found like a deer jawbone in the water. It was so cool. It was like a boomerang.
Nice.
And so this is like how we would spend our vacation time, me and Justin. And so this one time we got some snacks together. We jump in the canoe and we start going, and we tell our family, hey, we're going canoeing. We were gone for hours and hours. We went this one direction, and there were different swells where it would get really shallow. You have to get up, get out of the water, get in the water, lift the canoe to get it to back into the flow of the water in the stream. And we get past this point, and we keep going. And we're like, oh, let's keep going. When we come to this point in the creek, and it's not too crazy. It's kind of like the Grand River in terms of width, right? So it's not too far from bank to bank. But we get to this
Where
point.
the bullfrogs jump.
Yeah, from bank to banky. But we get to this point, and there's this tree in the middle of the water. It's growing up. So we have the creek, and there's this tree, this single tree growing up in the water. And then the creek kind of splits and then reforms behind this tree. So really weird, right? And so we're on the canoe, and we come right into this tree. We're like headed straight to this tree. And there's left and right. And it's still just one creek, though. It doesn't like split off into two different sections. It just remerges as one. And so we're like struggling because we're young. We're struggling to learn how to paddle, right? You know, and so we find ourselves slamming right into this tree roots of this tree. We get stuck in this tree roots, right? And I'm like, no big deal, Justin. We just got to put our paddle, you know, we're going to push off of this, and we'll get back in the current, and we'll just go around this. No big deal. That's happened a million times on the kayak, right? Now it's very familiar with us now. Well, I put my oar into this tree roots, and the roots start moving and wrapping around my paddle.
What?
They're snakes.
Oh my goodness.
It's a nest of water moccasins.
Wow.
And
That's
they're
crazy.
like, I'm 12, and they're like going around, and I'm like, and we push off, and we're freaking out because there's these snakes in the water, and we dart off around the corner, and we get back on this current, and we're like freaking out, like our breath is just gone, and adrenaline dump. Coming to find out, we look over and we see this massive something making a big noise in the water, and we look over real quick, and we just hear whoosh, and it's running through the water up into the tree line, and it's a black bear.
Oh, wow.
We're 12. No
Wow.
gun, no hunting, nothing like that. We're just on this canoe. What do you do in that moment? I mean, it's gone. It was darting through, and we must have scared it when we like pushed off on the tree thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, because we were freaking out, like because there were snakes. But on the other side of that tree was a bear running through the creek. We get further out through after that. Our adrenaline's pumping, and Justin's dad, my uncle, we get to this big open hole. It's like where we would fish for catfish and other things. And you could see the bridge. There's like a bridge where the cars go. And we get to that point, and my uncle is standing on this bridge. Where have you guys been? Like, you've been gone for 3 hours. Get back up here. And like, so we had to turn around, and like nobody really believed our story of seeing the bear and the snakes in the river. But you never know.
It sounds like a dream.
It wasn't though. Justin can confirm this story. We weren't.
It sounds like you're eating the catfish out of Mogador.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories. Sean slowly like, what? Charlie's weird. He's out
Who
there.
are my friends?
No, but this actually happened, and it was quite the experience. And like whenever you're going out into the wild, you're gonna see wild. Like,
Yeah.
it's funny how we have this false sense of security on that. Like, we think we'll just be fine and nothing will happen, but stuff happens every day out there. You gotta be careful.
Yeah. All right. So all these stories about hiking and wildlife, I got a good one that kind of ties into a little biblical lesson. All right. So I went fishing the other day in a location that is extremely difficult to find. And I happened to find it because I'm really good at investigating online, I would say. Better than average. I can find, it's really funny. It's kind of creepy too. I can find somebody's house based off of a picture.
Who are my friends?
So I've got a lot of cousins that work in the FBI. I don't know if that's just like something that just like is genetics or something. But yeah, so when people post like pictures on the Ohio Steelhead and stuff like that, I can probably find that location within 30 minutes.
Quite the talent.
Just given like the background, what it looks like, and then using Google Earth.
There's this guy who does that. He posts on social media, and he's like
crazy.
He's like,
I've seen it.
You're at this location
All
in
over
this
the world.
latitude, and it could be anywhere.
It's crazy.
Like, that's a special form of superpowers you got there.
Yeah, so I saw this video on YouTube of what is it called? Outdoor Life is the YouTube channel.
Outdoor Boys?
No, that's
a cool
good
YouTube
one.
channel. Love to have him on.
Outdoor Life, I think, is what it's called. It's a guy named Jacob. He's from this area and he lives out west now, but he's a big YouTube steelheader, and he posted this video, and the thumbnail is just this absolutely gorgeous, like massive 30-foot boulder, this waterfall coming off of it in a creek that's probably like 20 feet wide, and just absolutely gorgeous. And it says Ohio ? And like, I want to find that spot. Right. And I kind of knew the area looked familiar because I used to be into rock climbing, and I took my son there to boulder, which is like rock climbing without ropes, just climbing on boulders, right? Just safely for his age. Obviously, I wasn't going to do nothing stupid. So I kind of knew that area looked familiar to that. And I'm not even going to say what river or location because, dude, I posted a picture of the fish I caught in this location on Ohio Steelhead Group. Did you happen to see that?
I didn't see this Steelhead
David
group.
saw the group. Dude, I was getting blasted so bad. I had to delete it.
From the people?
Yes.
Well, because they were mad.
They hate people. I wasn't even spot burn. I didn't say the name of it. I didn't even show like the waterfall.
Oh man.
It was just,
why were they mad?
Because it is a gem.
Oh.
And the only people that were mad are people that knew about it. So there's 4 people. Dude,
calm down.
I got so many likes on that. It was like hundreds in a matter of like 20 minutes.
And then there's like 6 guys like you. He's at this location, latitude, longitude, this, that.
Those dudes hated me fast. they hated it and started calling all kinds of stuff. And it was just like getting inappropriate. Like,
really?
You guys need to just chill.
Calm down.
And somebody was even posting like, there are no secret spots in Ohio. Like you're pretty crazy to think that there's any spot in Ohio that is on public land that's secret. Like that's kind of ridiculous to believe.
But also, if you're willing, and I'll speak to this a little, but if you're willing to hike 5 miles to get to the spot, you win. Like you win. It's going to take not very many people are going to do that.
My thought is if you are willing to put the work in to find the location like I did, you should be able to see it. It's on YouTube. There's the video that I found it from has over 22,000 views.
They're probably mad at him too, though.
And I ran into one guy when I was down there, and he found it from the same YouTube video that I found it from.
Yeah,
and it was cool. Like he actually let me have the hole. He's like, I've been here for a couple hours. I'm gonna head back out. You can fish here. You deserve it. Like it's your first time finding it. Like you need to fish here. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I found this spot, and it's only fishable when the water is flooded everywhere. It's such a small system of water that isn't on a main river, and it's just a creek that feeds a river, right? So you can imagine, like, it's probably usually has barely any water in it. So there was an opportunity this past week on, actually it was December 31st. December 31st, the water was
last year.
Yeah, it was just right, man. It was a little bit, it probably would have fished better had it continued to go down. It went back up after this, but had it continued to go down, it would have probably fished better the day after. But I went, and the water was at like 3.2 feet on the gauge. So I knew where to look, I didn't know where to park. I talked to the guy, like the YouTuber, he messages me back and forth, and he confirmed that was this spot. I screenshotted it and said, this is the best I can come up with. Am I close? And he said, well done. You deserve it. Yeah. Go check it out.
That's such a better response than, I can't believe you're doing that. Like all the negative. Jeez, calm down.
So I didn't really know where to park. And the best I could come up with was a little parking spot that was above it on the map, or below it on the map. Like it's south of the creek. So I get there, and I have my waders on and everything. And I just start walking on this trail, and dude, it looks like Colorado. Nice. It looks like a place in Colorado that is, you would think you were in another state, not in Ohio. So I'm walking down this trail, and I'm kind of like confused and lost because I can't find how to get down to the creek because it's a straight drop off. I would say it's every bit of 150 foot drop off into this ravine, and there's no way to get down there. Except there was this one little, like, it looked like, I don't know if it was a human trail or an animal trail off of the main trail.
Moose.
Yeah.
Not in Ohio.
and I was like, man, that has to be it. It's right above the hole that I wanted to fish. So I just started going down it, and I get maybe like 20 feet down, and then it just drops off, like straight down almost. And I sent you guys a picture, like my fishing rod was level, and there was a tree laying down, and it was just like probably at like a 70-degree angle. Dude, it was so steep, and it was muddy and slippery. Okay, I'm going to get down there. How am I going to get back up is what's in my mind. And I was like, I just won't worry about that right now. I'll worry about that later.
It's future me problem.
Yeah, future me problem. So I start sliding down there. I'm worried about getting like holes in my waders.
You're probably more in danger during this hike than you were with the moose.
Dude, I thought for sure, like, this is one of those places that if you can break a leg easily, and you're going to have to get a life flight helicopter to pull you out of there.
And you were texting us, and rain was about to slam.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, get out of there. Like my mind, I'm like, I know Sean he's just going to do what Sean wants to do. And he's going to go find this hole and catch a fish for sure. And sure enough, you did that. But like while you're texting us, I'm like, maybe we might want to get out of there. Like,
dude, it was something. Anyway, so I keep going down this hill, and I'm like, oh, finally got down that steep part. Now let's like find the creek. and there's another hill. So there's like 2 drops, right? I finally get down there and walk around and get to the creek, and it's just this boulders everywhere, huge boulders everywhere. And you got some like 2 to 3 feet in diameter, all the way up to like the size of a house. I walk around. I'm on the river now, and I walk around the bend to where that hole is, and I immediately recognize the wall from the video, like the wall on the creek. And I was like, awesome, I found it. And that was like such an accomplishment to find that spot. And I walk around, and there's a guy standing on the big rock that you stand on that you can fish from. And I was like, darn it, that stinks.
All this work.
So anyway, everybody you meet on the river is usually like 99.9% of them are super friendly.
Yeah, they're great.
And so I decided to just go walk up to him and just talk to him, like, how did he find the spot? Like, how's he been doing today? And he's real friendly. Starts talking to me, and he's like, the only bad part about this is, watch this, how he gets off this rock, dude. This rock is like ice. It's so slippery. And he has to sit down and slide down the rock and catch himself on the other rock. He comes over, and we're talking. He found the place of the same video, and he's like, yeah, I'll let you fish this hole. I've been here since this morning. And I was like, how'd you get in? Like, because I just dropped in off the side of the mountain, stinking cliff. And he's like, yeah, that's definitely not the best way. And he said, that's a way.
Well, that's a way.
He's like, the guy, Jacob from the video, he comes in farther up on the opposite side that he came in. And he said that's a difficult hike too, which I found out that is where me and my son went bouldering.
Oh,
it was
nice.
right up from the parking lot that we would park at to go bouldering is the parking lot that the YouTuber would park at and walk in, according to this guy. And he's like, there's a better way. It's just a really long hike. He said, if you park at the ford, which if you're not from Ohio, maybe you don't know what a ford is, but it's basically a road that floods, essentially. I don't really know how to explain it. But it's like, if you park at the ford, there's a trail that's a dog trail. And it's not really marked, but it's clearly cut through the woods, and you don't have to climb nothing. And so I was like, that's awesome. He's like, oh, I'm gonna get out of here and fish my way out. And he's like, you fish that spot, enjoy it. You deserved it. You found it. And so I climb up on the boulder. That's a challenge, dude. I was rock climbing to get there.
Yeah. You got lucky. He could be like, take a hike, guy.
Yeah.
I got here first.
Yeah.
Don't post any pictures.
Oh, he did say that.
Oh, and then he blasted you on that.
No, he said, don't tell anybody about the spot. He's very clear. He's told me that like 3 times. He said, don't tell anybody about this spot.
And now we're telling thousands of Spotify listeners.
I'm not giving the spot. I'm not even giving the main river that it feeds.
I wish you would feel that way about our other spots. But
that's public river. Oh, this is public too. It's just not a river. So I walk over the rock to stand on, and he wasn't kidding. This thing is, dude, it's at least a 45-degree angle, and you don't have to stand on it to fish there, but it's definitely a better angle. So I get up on there, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm rock climbing. So I'm grabbing those little nubs on the rock to pull myself up, just like rock climbing. And I get up there, and it's not slippery on the top, so you can stand up. Dude, first cast.
Nice.
First cast, bobber drops. Got a fish on.
Oh.
And I was like, man, this could be anything. Yeah. Honestly, like because this isn't a stocked river. At least it hasn't been. There, I just gave it away. It hasn't been a steelhead stocked river ever.
Yeah.
Until this 2024, the fall, they stocked this.
People definitely
the main
know
river.
What we're talking about.
The main river. There's so many creeks that feed this river.
Yeah.
So the main river hasn't been stocked with steelhead ever until this past year, and it's just 9-inch steelhead. They're nothing. So I didn't really know what was on the end of the line. I didn't know if it was a steelhead. So it starts fighting, and I'm like, this definitely feels like a steelhead. So I got the fish on, and I need to get down from this slippery rock. And so I just, dude, I just sat down and just slid down, fought the fish. Anyway, reeled it in, got it in. It was definitely a steelhead. It was probably like 23, 24-inch steelhead, just
Nice.
pretty average. It was fresh. You definitely wouldn't want to be caught taking a steelhead out of this hole. Just, I know you hate that, but this is one of those spots.
Watch me dance.
This is one of those spots that if you take a steelhead out of there, you're not catching anything else the rest of the day. Because that was potentially the only steelhead in there.
Yeah.
It's not a stocked river. So yeah, if you would have been there, we would not have caught anything. I didn't catch anything else anyway, but
yeah.
So I caught the one steelhead first cast, and I was like, well, that could be bad.
Yeah, but
Number
I wouldn't
one,
want to
first
hike out
cast.
with one steelhead.
Yeah.
It just sounds like too much.
Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, you got this massive storm moving in, and it's rain, it's not snow, and I have to hike out of here up that mountain. So I threw maybe like 5 more casts, dude. Under 10 casts, and I was done and out of there. Just because like it was beautiful, it was hard to get to, but I had to like get out safely.
Yeah.
So I hiked out and up the cliff. That was miserable. Got to the car and thought maybe I'll just drive down. I'm not afraid to get wet. I just don't want to get stuck down there and not be able to get out safely or break a leg and have to get a helicopter to pull me out of the stinking ravine. So I drive down to the ford where this guy's talking about, and dude, this creek looked beautiful to fish the whole way. So I got in the river there at the ford and fished all the way back up to that waterfall and fished the whole way, didn't get anything. Fished that hole again, didn't get anything, and then hiked out. My watch, after I was done, said that I had hiked 5.1 miles in 48 minutes.
Man.
In waders.
Likely
like an 8-minute. So I told my wife that, and she's like, I told her, like, all my friends that I fish with say they can't keep up when they're fishing with me.
Yeah, that's true. Your pace is pretty.
She said, like, your gait is just so long. Like, when you take a step, it's like 3 of my steps, like. So anyway, like, I don't know if I believe
sprinting
8 minutes, 45 seconds.
Like, and make fun of me if you will, I'm 32, but sprinting a mile, like, it's hard to break under like 7 minutes. Like, that's hard to do running. So like, that's where I'm like, maybe it's off, but maybe it's not. Either way, it's a great workout and I mean, that's challenging. It's different with elevation and stuff. Like, that's huge.
Yeah. So this place, dude, it was so beautiful. It was like you were in. All right, here's the best I can describe. When I was standing down there in this hole, I was questioning whether I should be looking out for bears. That's how I felt. I felt like I was in the Pacific Northwest, and obviously, I mean, there could be bears there, but it's unlikely. There might be 1 or 2 ever.
Just to go back to that for a second, the average walking pace for most people is about 15 to 20 minutes a mile. So that's why I say it's highly unlikely that your watch was accurate.
Dude, I hike fast.
Right, but
I don't want to be there.
No, I know what you're saying, but like most people, it's like 20, 30 minutes a mile if they're just walking.
Yeah. That's
so like sprinting would be about a 6, 7 or a 7, 8 minute mile if you're running.
Yeah.
So if you're trucking, that makes sense. But to do that for 5 miles.
Yeah, I don't know.
With your your current diet, and
maybe it's because I'm so fat that my heart rate was telling my watch that I'm moving that fast.
Yeah, well, like it indicates other things too. But I think like that's why you should get a Fitbit, not a sponsor.
Yeah. So my initial feelings walking in was like super excited, right? And well, not at first. At first, I was kind of like frustrated because I couldn't find like an easy path to get in. It was difficult. It was beautiful, but it was difficult. And it just kept getting harder and harder to get in as I kept going down the mountain. And then even coming up the river, hiking up the river, dude, is just such a grind to get to that one spot. So the scenery, this setting just kind of reminded me in that moment just how life's challenges often feel the same way. Like, unexpectedly hard. Like, you know that going in, it's going to be difficult sometimes. It's super isolated and super lonely sometimes. And you don't always see the end goal. You know, I didn't really know where I was going. I was excited, yet doubtful at the same time.
Yeah.
But still looking around and seeing how it was beautiful. And the struggle, dude, just maybe not like emotionally, at maybe a little emotional, like struggle hiking down there, just kind of just, man, this is frustrating. And knowing there's a storm on the way that could really mess things up, and kind of worrying about slipping on these slippery rocks and coming down the hill, like breaking a leg or something, what if something happens? So having those moments where you just feel like I just kind of like want to turn back at times. But instead of turning back, I know that I had to keep going. Like, if I wanted to see this spot and to have the reward, like to catch a fish in this spot, would just be insane to me. So I tie that into the biblical reflection of in the same way that life's trials feel unrelenting and difficult, but God keeps calling us to go forward and push through when the path is tough. You don't see the end goal. You've never been there. This is your first time to be at this spot. But there is a reward that you can't see. And just being able to push through those life trials is how I saw this situation, this moment. And James 1:2-4 emphasizes how trials build perseverance. And it says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." So, like, switching to the beauty of the isolation in that moment, you know, it was just this absolutely gorgeous, like Pacific Northwest looking place. There's moss growing like on not the trees, but the dead like stumps, the rocks. There's a waterfall, dude, that was coming down like 25, 30 feet on like multiple levels of like drop down left, drop down right, drop down. You know, it's like, so you could hear the waterfalls. You could hear, just at the same time, it's kind of funny. Like, you could hear the waterfall, but you can also hear silence, like, because you just feel so far away from anything.
Yeah.
And so it's just like the serenity of this moment. And, you know, that's how God meets us kind of in our quiet places in our lives. If we just take time to seek him, like as Psalms 19:1 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands." And the reward in this story was catching the fish. And the moment that I caught the fish was like joy, relief, and, you know, definitely a sense of a major accomplishment. I just found this location. It's not public knowledge necessarily. It's not a stocked river. It's a creek that feeds a not stocked river. So to go through that perseverance of pushing through when I didn't see the end goal, I didn't know really where I was going. I was kind of blindly hiking and just in faith that I would happen to stumble upon this spot. And then to catch that steelhead in that moment was like, just, I don't know, a major accomplishment.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a bucket list moment.
Sure.
And it kind of mirrors God's faithfulness and provision in Luke 11:9-10. The reward of seeking diligently. It says, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you'll find. Knock and it'll be open to you." You know, that's just, if you just persevere, push through, knock, like reach out, you know, ask. Obviously, if you ask fishermen for things, they're not going to tell you, but ask God for things, you know, God will open doors for you. And, you know, that some of our hardest journeys in life just often lead to the greatest blessings.
Yeah.
And if you just trust God and go through your own hikes in life. I think this episode's kind of been about hikes. Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Hey, take a hike, fella.
If you just trust God through your own hike in life, whatever that is, spiritually, mentally, physically, whatever challenges that you're facing, you know that God's hand is in it, and He has beauty and provision waiting on you.
Yeah. Philippians 3:14 also speaks a little bit about this. It says, I press towards the mark for the prize of the high calling in God in Christ Jesus. And this verse expresses the idea of striving forward with determination and focus, aiming for this higher calling, this higher mark. Paul uses this metaphor, and he uses a metaphor of an athlete running a race, kind of like we were running. I ran and you ran through that. But pressing through these difficult obstacles, ultimately bringing a great reward. And he parallels this by saying, like, the better reward is eternal life and a close relationship with God. And so you kind of talked about that a little bit with perseverance and focus. And so I guess like the push for this episode is to just stay on that track, stay on that course, keep pressing, because the reward is great. It's a lot greater than a steelhead in a remote place that usually wouldn't have those steelhead in it. It's a lot better than a fish. So if you're out there and you're walking in your faith and you feel like you're struggling and you're still seeing the beauty in that moment, but you're out there and it's difficult, just keep pressing. And in fact, I told somebody the other night who's struggling with their walk with God, somebody who's close to me, and I just told her, I was like, keep trying. Just keep pushing, keep trying, try and fail, and then try again and repeat. And eventually you'll get to that point where you're in a real relationship with the Lord. But you have to try, you have to push, you have to press for that mark. And so the personal application to this moment is it's a call to not look back or be distracted by those hard moments or setbacks, but keep pushing forward in your personal and professional goals with determination. And so it's about maintaining that focus and staying committed in that journey. So it could be a hike, but take it. Take a hike, And with that, I would like to go and transition to our segment, Overrated, Underrated. And we have some music for that, maybe.
I don't think I forget which one it is.
We're going to get better at that. No, that one needs to take a hike. That music. We'll edit it in post. Welcome to Overrated, Underrated Hiking Edition or Wilderness Travel Edition. All right, so ready?
Let's hear it.
Here we go. Ready? Is this overrated or underrated? Or would you rather? I guess you could say it that way. Camping in the wilderness versus glamping, or like camping in style.
I enjoy a good glamp session.
Yeah, you know what's better than sleeping on the ground?
In a bed.
That's better than sleeping outside in the wilderness?
In the air conditioning.
Camping has its place in it. I have a camping story that was just on a recent episode, but camping,
debatable whether it was real.
What's that?
Debatable whether it was real.
Yeah, it was real, man.
I walked out there the other day.
It was real. I wouldn't lie about it.
I know.
But it's not. I'm not surprised by your response. But I enjoy camping. But like I said, growing up in that cabin, that was camping too to me. And that was nice to have running water and electricity. So, but I would say if you're gonna do it, you should probably do it at least once or twice, just in the woods, in the bush. Just go out there that way.
If you're gonna go like outdoor camping, would you prefer campsite camping or backpacking?
I think campsite is safer, but if I'm in it for the adventure or like a video or something, I want to be backpacking.
There's this huge place in West Virginia that a lot of people go backpacking in. Never mind, I forget the name of it. Oh, Dolly Sods. Dolly Sods in West Virginia. If you are into backpacking and you want to see somewhere new, go to Dolly Sods. It's really awesome there.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Using high-tech gear versus old school gear.
High tech.
High-tech.
You
That drone. Wah, 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 wah. No, I'm just teasing.
know? I always look at the board to see the sounds I have.
The drones.
What was that?
No, that was the one I was searching at. But no, using high-tech gear versus old school gear. I think that you should have a combination of both. My issue with high-tech gear is it can fail.
Yeah.
Something about the old school stuff.
Yeah. Jared probably prefers old school gear. We talk about it all the time. Like, get rid of these digital boards and give us analog boards again, where we just run cables everywhere instead of Ethernet wires.
No, I think there's a combination of both. But when you saw me, I started a fire with a ferro rod.
Yeah, when it was like 60.
Yeah, it was easier to do it then. But like, I'd rather, have that than have nothing.
Yeah.
Like, so I think you gotta get, tried and proven stuff.
Yeah.
For me. But also I don't mind high-tech stuff. Next one, ready? Cooking meals over a campfire versus eating prepackaged hiking foods like protein bars and chips and stuff.
I'm biased to this one.
Yeah?
Because I can't cook. So, prepackaged.
So, along the lines of the cabin and growing up with that as my vacation, we used to do these trout tinfoil hobo dinners where we would gut the trout, put it in these tinfoil things, fill it with squash and vegetables, potatoes, butter, garlic, all kinds of stuff, and we just throw it in the fire.
It's cool.
And then when it was done, you would just unwrap your tinfoil
And eat. That's cool.
And so I'm partial to cooking meals.
It
and
sounds easy.
that's like one of the most delicious things too, like ways to eat it. So I would say cooking meals. But also like have some beef jerky and protein bars in your pack in case you're like Sean and you go off on this random expedition all by yourself where there's steep drops and you could break your leg and be life flighted. You might want to have something on hand.
I actually had a bag full. I would say 25 of the Cliff bars.
Yeah.
Packed in my day bag when I was in Brazil.
Yeah.
Because I can't stand the food in Brazil, in the Amazon.
Yeah.
So we weren't like just in Sao Paulo, like it was Manaus. So it was pretty awful. Like the food just for me, just.
It's probably delicious. And
Sean
it's
just crazy.
like green things.
No, it's not green. I don't even know if they had green things. It was just fish.
It's the jungle.
It was so much fish. Just nasty fish.
Salted.
It didn't look appetizing. Yeah. That's all I really didn't even know.
This American.
But you know what's crazy is I ate all 25 of those Cliff Bars, right? Because that's how I got through the day.
The day? You ate 25
Not a day. No. That was
gosh.
like in the 9 days or whatever we were there. But the last day that we were leaving after like the harvest service, we went back to the hotel and my flight out of there was at like 3 a.m. So I had to leave pretty quick, like at midnight. So we had just got back at like 11:30 or midnight anyways. I had like a half an hour left of my time in Brazil. And Brother Robinette ordered Domino's pizza.
Let's go.
I didn't know that there was a Domino's pizza in Manaus, Brazil until 30 minutes before I was about to leave.
Pure protein bars.
It's all like this whole time, like I heard Brother Robinette mention that Sister Robinette will only eat Domino's in Brazil.
That's so funny.
And that was in a meeting like months before, and I didn't really remember that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there was Domino's when we left, and it tasted like actual Domino's.
Oh.
And I was so sad. Like I could have had like good food.
It was like a fast. God was working on you.
Yeah, it was.
That's funny.
But definitely prepackaged. That's how I get through life.
We got to change that. And you got to we're going to motivate you while you're feeling the urge to do a little bit better with the snow shoveling and all that. Just get you in that fitness mindset. New year, new Sean.
I'll play drums one more time today because we have church tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that'll be my last exercise for a couple weeks.
All right, this one makes that's silly. This one makes sense for you. Ready? Hiking solo or hiking with a group of friends? In light of all of these stories.
It's funner with friends, but at the same time, like there's just something about a solo hike that you're just so helpless. It's a feeling. That's definitely a feeling.
I'll put it this way. For me, solo hiking is so stupid. It's so dumb because you can get, I guess you have to weigh because I understand what you're saying. Sometimes you need to just get out by yourself and be alone.
Yeah.
But like you could do that in a way that is way less dangerous. Like I
think
remember
that's
David
the part of it though.
David went fishing and it was like in the middle of us, and like we were getting snow or intense rain, and the water was rising, and we're watching the levels from home while he's on the river. And like you had texted the group.
Oh yeah, I got
like,
worried.
Get out of there, man. Like it's not safe. And he's like, I'm fine. And it's like, but we're watching the water rise.
And then we didn't hear from him.
And then you don't hear from him for hours. It's so funny how you're like that way for your friends, but for yourself, you're like, man, just go hike.
It's funny. That was David, by the way.
Yeah. And so I think for me, there's other ways to have that cathartic experience without putting yourself in danger. That's for me. I won't ever do it alone. In fact, I probably won't even fish the Grand alone. And I could and be completely safe, but like there's just that part of I'm a father. I have 2 kids at home. I have a wife that I support. I'm not going to put myself in a position where I'm going to die and leave them a widow
I fish by myself a lot.
You shouldn't.
Because you guys don't come out often.
I wish I had the opportunity to come as much. But
I thought there was going to be 2 people to join me.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is hiking with a group of friends is way safer than hiking with just yourself.
It's definitely funner with friends.
Yeah. And I said like the fellowship part of it. So, all right. Next one. Hiking in extreme weather. Overrated, underrated.
Say it again.
If you're in extreme weather hiking or being outdoors in extreme weather, like freezing cold, polar vortex.
That's terrible.
Or
that's
like
some outdoor boys
heat.
stuff.
Yeah. So overrated.
Yeah.
Yes. Agreed. Go home. Go home. Live to hike another day. Wildlife encounters, exciting or terrifying?
Well.
The moose.
Well.
The moose, the bear, and the snakes.
I'm definitely not afraid of anything.
I'm a man. I would say both. It's both exciting and terrifying.
I'm not afraid of anything.
I'm a real boy. Bushcraft survival skills, the primitive stuff. Is it necessary or over the top? My ferro rod.
Yeah, I think it's necessary.
Like to have a backup.
I couldn't start a fire without a map gas torch, though.
It's really not that hard. You just have to have the right materials and patience. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Do you remember when it was like 20 degrees and you tried to start the fire on the river?
Oh,
and
so fresh.
I got it
going. I got it.
Yeah.
Eventually.
It took a while.
It took forever.
Your hands are frozen before you.
Yeah.
Your feet were frozen before you could get it going.
Way better than to have like a nice gas.
Yeah, I meant to buy one, but
like a heat buddy.
I don't think I'm going to buy one this year.
Gear, don't. Yeah, I would say necessary, but a little like, they have lighters, right? Like you don't need you just buy a Bic lighter and throw it in your bag.
Yeah.
That would be way better and smarter and easier. So like, I would say just right. Hiking barefoot, spiritual experience or terrible idea? Terrible idea. Hiking barefoot? What are you, crazy? Like
That's
so
kind of weird.
Wild. Why?
It's like third world country stuff.
Crazy.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for that segment and for this episode. And so, man,
take us out.
Yeah, it's been great. This has been fun. It's always fun to hear those stories and be reminded of, just pressing towards that mark. I guess that's the point of this episode is even when life gets difficult, keep pushing forward. But we're so grateful you guys are here with us. Please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, a review, comment about it, share us with some friends. We got a lot of exciting things coming up this year, and we're excited that you're along with us. We'll see you next time.
Like, comment, and subscribe.